What's going on, rock stars? Welcome back to another episode of the 1% Life Show. I'm your host, peak performance coach and trainer to the 1%, Joanie Dillon. So pumped to be here with you today. If you're tuning in live on the Facebooks, let us know where you're tuning in from. And if it's your first time listening, put a 1 in the comments. If you've been here before and you love the show and hopefully are excited that we've started a new season, put a 2 in the comments below and definitely tag somebody who needs to listen. So this just occurred to me as I was thinking, man, it's been a minute since I've been here with you guys, since I've connected. I'm just getting my flow back and it's not back yet. So bear with me. It's here. And I wanted to just give you some value, real value. And for those of you, most of you are, sales professionals of some sort, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're a coach, you sell high ticket products of your own, or maybe someone else's or services, whatever that is. And quite frankly, if you're not recognizing that you're in sales of some sort, then you probably need to relook at the word sales and how it's actually used in everyday life. But with that being said, I wanted to give you some value because right now, more than ever, I believe it's so important to get your products and services out to the world. People need you. People need what you sell. People need to have that void in their life filled, provided that you sell something good and that you fill that void, right? If it's a problem or a service, if it's a solution to a problem that you solve, which it probably should be, then we need to get it out to more people. Wouldn't you agree that that would benefit you right now? And I was thinking, what can I do for you guys that would really create value? And so I started writing out some podcast topics. I'm like, I don't know what to talk about today. I'm just kind of getting back into the flow of things, right? And so I started writing out some topics, and what came to me was like a lot of different subtopics around this topic. And I thought, what if I were to do a little mini series? We do this from time to time on just some small tweaks you can make to your sales to really impact your bottom line, to sell more, to earn more, to impact your bottom line. If you're a business owner, if you're in sales and you work for somebody else, well, guess what? When you sell more, guess who makes more? Not only does your employer, but you do too. So wouldn't it benefit you to learn how to do just that, right? Would you like that? So I was thinking about that, and I decided to launch into this little mini series. I don't know how many episodes it's going to go for. It could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 5. If you love it, I would love to hear about it on the reviews on the podcast. Just leave me comments in this if you're listening on Facebook. If you're on one of our podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts or Spotify or somewhere else, leave us a review, hopefully a 5-star if you got value, and what specifically you liked, what you want to hear more of. And maybe we'll do just that. We read those, so we value them. And we value them, I should say. So rock stars, let's get into this. I wanted to cover a couple of these today, of course. And the first one is if you really want to increase your sales, right? You want to sell more or impact your bottom line, let's just say, if you're an entrepreneur, what are some things that you can do? Well, the first thing that you want to think about is, would it benefit me to raise my prices? Now, simplistic, perhaps, but are you doing it? Have you looked at it? And is this a viable solution for you? Now, here's how you want to look at this. If you're thinking, well, Joanie, I can't increase my prices because I sell products for somebody else, fine. I want you to get out of the box right now, okay? Get out of the box and stop thinking with this mindset that will keep you underselling, right? We got to think outside the box. We got to think from a place that's like, okay, so how does this apply specifically to me? If Joanie's talking about raising my prices, well, what specifically could I do to raise my prices in theory, right? And if you sell someone else's products and services, couldn't this mean that you could sell if you typically present a certain option or package or product or bundle of products, whatever that is, and it's, for a certain price, is there the potential for you to sell something of greater value and perhaps greater price? Now, if there is, why aren't you doing it? I can't tell you how many times I hear from sales professionals who's like, I just sell the minimum. I just sell smaller options. I just want them to get in. I want the deal to stick. I want the sale to stay. I want to make sure that they just get their feet wet and they get started. What? Do you realize, yes, I'm passionate, that people value real results? If your product's not going to get them, what your service, real results, because you're like, I just want to get them in the door and they're really not going to get real value from it, why the heck are you selling that? Be willing to forego the sale by putting them into something that actually works for them. Now, can you back off if you need to and sell them a smaller option and let them know what specifically they're getting because they opted for the smaller option versus, or that, let's just not call it smaller, but smaller in terms of price or investment that they're making? Well, yeah, it's so much easier to back down the, like, here, why don't you look at this? This is what I think is going to benefit you instead. Why don't we just go this route? I think you might like this. Versus increasing the price. Okay. So it's so much, when you've already bottomed it out. Okay. So when people bottom out a price, like they sell something, let's say they have $1,000 product and a $5,000 product, for example, and they just show the $1,000 product. Well, guess what happens? You have nowhere really to go. And I probably goofed up my words just a minute ago, but follow me now. You have nowhere else to go when it's $1,000 product. Okay. So where else are you going to go? You're going to sell them $100 product? You sell them a $500? Maybe. I wouldn't be getting on the phone with anybody if I'm selling them a $500 product, let alone a $1,000 product personally. Nothing wrong with that if that's for you. But if you start at a much higher price point with obviously the value that comes along with it, then doesn't it make sense that you have somewhere to go? You can lower the options perhaps, or the package, the product, the service that they get, the bundle, whatever it is, if for some reason they just can't commit to the higher option, the bigger package. Okay, makes sense. So I can't tell you how often I hear people just, their average transaction price or their average sales price, same thing, is so freaking low when it could be so much higher if they would actually present something of greater value and greater price. With greater price, better come greater value, or it doesn't quite make sense. So I want you to think about how that applies specifically to you. Where can you raise your prices, or how can you start presenting opportunities for your potential buyers to get involved in something that's actually going to really solve their problem, as opposed to put a Band-Aid on it? And are you doing that? Like, if you're doing that because maybe, you just are scared to ask for something bigger, well, you want to look at what is causing that fear around not asking for a sale that really is what they deserve to buy, what you deserve to sell, and what's going to get them the real transformation. I want you to get that. And that's really important. So if you want to really impact your sales by making a small tweak, it sounds like a big tweak, but it's really a small tweak. Increase your average sales price. Now, some of the ways that you can do that is looking at how can you perhaps bundle your products or services together that will increase your average sales price. Can you bundle something together that has not yet been bundled together? Do you have other courses or programs or benefits or features that you can bundle together? And if that's the case, then do it. Try it. Bundle, because what's happened in the potential buyer's eyes is the perceived value has increased. When you are bundling things together, you're creating a real, what we call an offer stack, right? It's a real irresistible offer, as opposed to just saying, this is all you get, right? What if you were to say, like when I used to sell timeshare, let me just give you an example. People would, and I gotta be careful how I word this, but people would really fixate on the VIP levels of ownership, right? The VIP levels of ownership, which there's a clear benefit to owning more of the product, right? People who own more are typically much happier than those who own a very small option or small, ownership, right? They're not as happy. statistics show. So when sales reps are showing those options, what happens more times than not is they're really not bundling in the other benefits that they could bundle in and make it appear like this is part of the bundled offer. I want you to think about what I mean. And I can't really give too many specifics because it could come across as like I'm doing it from a certain company's perspective. But what if there was a way that you could say, not only do you get this VIP gold or elite or gold or platinum status, right? But you're also, you're putting a value to the other the things that they get with it, right? You're actually bundling. And with this, you get X, Y, and Z, right? You have the ability to tap into this benefit that's going to allow you to use these vacation homes in this part of the world. Like there's a way to really present the stack in a way that creates perceived value in the mind of the listener, as opposed to just, well, you go VIP. It's going to give you extra time in the system. It's going to make you get discounts on what you're booking. Sure. But how can you really lay out the stack, write it down, whether you're using a tablet, a pen, whatever it is? Everyone's like, oh, everything's changed. Who cares? Just write it down. However you can write it down, but to present a real offer stack. So what happens in the mind of a human who's listening to a quote unquote offer is the more things that you rattle out on that offer, the higher the perceived value. Okay. I want you to really get what I'm saying. If you just say, oh, I'm giving you this course of mine, you get access to this course, they're going to say, cool. Well, what does that really mean for me? Right? Now, the reality is that when you say, and you get this bonus and this bonus and this, like you're buying this course, but I'm going to give you $20,000 of bonuses on top of this $5,000 program, which ends up being $25,000 for for just $5,000. And, we're not talking about how to present the actual scarcity or the urgency or any of that today, right? But my point is that the human mind hears, then I get this, and I get that, and I get that, right? And they're like reading these things, whether you're typing it out or writing it, reading it. Really important to give those visual people a visual. Most times people are saying things out loud, right? Like we communicate in the way that we communicate, or we like to be communicated to. This is called our representation system. How we like to communicate, or how our dominant representation system is. Are you primarily auditory, right? Do you like to just hear things? Can you hear a teacher talking or a lecturer talking and just get it like that, right? Or do you actually need to see it written out? That's visual. If that's the case, your dominant rep system is visual. If you're highly kinesthetic, you're touchy, you're feely, you like to, like do things with your hands, okay? That's a very kinesthetic person. So how we typically present an offer, which again is not what this particular episode's about, but if you want me to talk about this at some point, let me know, and I can and will. But my point being is that present to all different representation systems, how people process information. You don't know, unless you're highly trained in what I teach, which is NLP, how to tell what somebody is, what their primary representation system is, right? But if you don't know that, you got to be, just because you're highly auditory or kinesthetic doesn't mean that your people sitting in front of you are. So you need to learn how to present in different ways. Slow down, stop speaking so fast. Now, I digress a little bit, but I get excited about these topics, okay? And so I really want you to look at what can you bundle together to make it appear like the value of what you're selling has gone up, right? And so and maybe not gone up in their eyes, because they have no comparison. They're just talking to you for the first time, sitting with you for the first time, but it increases perceived value. So really think about, okay, so can I increase my prices, or start presenting products, services, or bundles that are of higher price point, right? First, instead of just dropping it down to the, small, because I'm so scared to ask for the money, right? That's an internal problem, not an external problem. It's not their problem. Like, oh, they're not going to say yes. No, they're not going to say yes because you don't believe they should say yes to you. That's the problem. All right. So you got to look inside first. Your net worth is directly related to your self-worth. Your self-worth will never surpass your net worth. It is completely related. All right. So start believing that you're worthy of bigger sales, bigger deals, greater average sales price, and you will start selling a greater sales price, average sales price, tongue twister. You get my point. Okay. And what would happen if you only started presenting higher ticket offers. Like, what if you were to just say, okay, all I'm going to do is, like, if I'm used to create, like, selling my product for $5,000, what if you said, okay, so how can I increase my average sales price? Well, what if I were to only present a $20,000 opportunity? Right? You know, a 20K opportunity, or if you sell a 20K opportunity, what if you were to only present a 100K opportunity, and to really focus on the value at that 100K opportunity? Are some people going to bite? Heck yeah. But I always say, if you want to sell 100K, you better pitch double that, right? In terms of value, at least. In fact, really 10 times that is what's going to get you those bigger deals, right? You really want to create some massive value to land those deals. And so sorry, I like lost myself in my head, got lost. And so I want you to think about, like, what if you were to start presenting bigger, only presenting a higher ticket purchase, and then only when it was like the opportunity for them to, like, when they said, yeah, and just not going to work, only then do you come down, right? Only then do you say, okay, right? So what happens is, if we bottom out too fast, then there's, like, nowhere to go, right? I mentioned that earlier. And then what happens if we go high and then we bottom out? It's like, well, the same thing. Well, what was that thing that you just said? But if you present it in a way that it really makes sense for them to take the first step, to do that one thing that will then lead them to the next thing, then whatever you were presenting, that might have been the 20K or the 100K opportunity to work with you, or to invest in themselves at a higher level, to buy that program or that product that is, you know, really going to give them the real transformation and the results that they want in their life. But they got to take the first step, right? All right, so this isn't the option or the opportunity that's going to work for you right now. Here's my recommendation. Let's start here. Let me tell you what I believe you should do today. And then you present that option. So you hold high for so long that you then can finally say, you've teed it up right. It's not like it's not good enough. You said, look, you're going to get there, and here's the first stepping stone to making it there. So let's set you up here. So I hope that helps. And gives you some ideas on how, some small tweaks that you can begin to make right now on your sales to really have a huge impact on your bottom line. So look at, where can you raise prices, and, you know, what can you bundle together? What products or services can you bundle together? Even if they're not your own products and services, if you're selling for someone else, how can you, this is where the ingenuity comes from, guys. This is where the ingenuity and the creativity comes from. How can you, what everybody else is doing, don't do. How can you look at the product suite that your company offers and says, what can I position, or how can I position something in a way that really creates greater perceived value in an ethical, integral way, but increases perceived value, so I can then get a higher average selling price, average sales price. Sometimes we call it average transaction price. So average transaction price or average sales price, same thing. All right. And then the last thing is, you want to just start presenting higher offers and really holding high at those offers, giving so much value that they will really want that said offer, right? They want that product, that service, that bundle, whatever. And only when you've held high for so long do you then realize, because you've really created real value there. Like, you've positioned yourself as, holy cow, she really selling $100,000 product right now. Yup. Right? Yup. And then what that does is that creates in their mind this sticker shock factor. It's like, wow, I can't afford that, but I really want that. And then what you can do is you can back them down into, not like it's a lesser quality. That's the art in this, is how do you position it to where, look, I'm going to do something special for you. Why? Because number one, you deserve it. You got a problem, you need it fixed. I'm going to show you the solution. And I realize that may not be the right time right now. So why don't we do this? And then you go into what specifically it is that you're leading them into. And you lead them into the sale. So the point on that last one is stop bottoming out your prices so quickly and start holding high for a long period of time, creating real value, perceived value, before you actually show them an opportunity or an option to buy in and get their problem solved for less of a price. All right, rock stars, did you get some value? Did you like it? If so, tag somebody in this comment, share this episode out, take a screenshot of this episode. You'll find me on the gram and on Facebook, and tag me on the gram at Joanie Dillon. All that information's in the show notes. And I'd love to see what you liked, what you loved, and what specifically you want to hear more of. Stay tuned. We're doing our episodes now Monday. They're going to be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are our new days. Okay. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we're launching new episodes of the 1% Life, and we're going to stick to this little salesy theme. I'm kind of liking it. I hope you do too. Give me some feedback. And the best way that you can give me feedback is by engaging with this podcast here, this video, if you're wherever you're watching it, and sharing it out, because I see that you share it out, and that certainly helps, and leaving us a review. All right, rock stars, you're incredible. Get out there, change some lives today. You certainly deserve it, and they do too. Have an incredible evening, incredible day, wherever you are in the world. Peace.